You have never seen the strategy that I'm going to take in today's video for every opening trap before. In today's lesson, I'll show you every opening trap from the G4 opening to the F4 opening, and then move on to the E4 opening, then the D4 opening, and the C4 opening, all the way up to the B4 opening. So I will achieve this by only showing you the top responses by black in the Lichess database. The aim
is to destroy Lichess.
So bring your toes closer to the desk and let's begin with the G4 opening, the so-called group opening. Then as you can see, the top played response by black in the Lichess database is pawn to D5, and now you go bishop G2, sacrificing your G4 pawn for nothing, and that's why you will see most of your opponents once again taking that free pawn, and this is when you go pawn to C4. Once again, pawn to C6 is by far the top played move, but it doesn't matter. Even if black plays pawn to E6, you are going to see on move number 5, pawn to C6, and then you simply take on D5 to simplify the game. They will take back, that's what everybody does. And now, you simply go queen B3, double attacking the D5 pawn with your queen and bishop, not to mention that your queen is also eyeballing the undefended pawn on B7. This will confuse a lot of your opponents. They will play pawn to E6. You can see that's the top played move in this position, which is losing. So you can imagine on move 5, black loses the game just like that. So you simply go queen F5, check, which also wins the light square bishop on G4 instantly. So with the group, you are assured of winning a free piece or probably winning the game right away on move 6. Let's go back to move 5. After C takes D5 and C takes D5 by black, then you go queen B3. Of course, we know pawn to E6 is by far the top played move, but what if black plays the second most played move and the correct one, knight to F6? What do? There are two sides of coins when it comes to chess, you guys. If your trick doesn't work, you need to play chess and at least try to come back into the game. For example, after knight to F6 by black, even though you can take on B7 right away, you first of all play knight C3 because you really want to take the D5 pawn, right? It's more important than the B7 pawn. Again, they'll play pawn to E6, that's the top played move. And this is when you can take on B7. Let's say knight BD7, you simply go knight B5, wanting to go knight C7 check next and win the rook. That's why they play rook C8. See guys, material is equal. Stockfish only thinks black has a better position. Otherwise, this is very much playable at human level. Besides, you are about to win a free pawn on A7. Anyways, let's move on. Opening trap number 2 in the bird opening. Now we move from the G4 opening to the F4 opening, known as the bird. So you begin with pawn to F4. Then again, you can see pawn to D5 is by far the top played move, after which I recommend you go pawn to E4 directly. They'll play D takes E4. I'm playing against the Lichess database, you guys. So this is very fun to watch. Bishop C4. And then you can see knight to F6 is what most of your opponents will play. And then right away, instead of going knight to C3, playing like a normal person, you want to go crazy with pawn to D4. And I should mention to say that in the opening stage, you are basically giving up your advantage, but it will be very difficult for your opponents to maintain that advantage unless you are playing against a robot like Stockfish or whatever, which I don't encourage people to do. So again, after you play pawn to D4, you can see that E takes D3 is by far the top played move, after which I recommend that you pre-move knight E2 or play this as fast as you can because it creates an impression as if you just blundered a piece. This is why we see everybody on Lichess taking this poor knight, which is a blunder. Why is this a blunder? Because you have bishop takes F7 check. Black's king cannot escape from Sobibo. The only move for black is king takes F7, after which you win the free queen on D8, just like that. Now we move from the F4 opening to the E4 opening. So you begin with E4, then black will mostly respond with E5. You go knight F3, knight C6, normal stuff, bishop C4, the Italian, and then look at this, you guys. Bishop C5 is by far the top played move. That's what you will see most of your opponents playing. This is called the Gyoko piano. Now you go pawn to B4 right away, the Evans Gambit. I covered more of this gambit in the video that has popped up in the card above. You should watch that amazing video after you finish watching this one. Well, again, going by the top played moves only, black plays bishop takes B4, you can see. Now you go pawn to C3, and the top played move once again is bishop C5. after which you go pawn to d4, attacking the bishop and the pawn once again. So e takes d4 is what everybody plays. Then guess what? You simply take back on d4 with your c pawn. Again, you can see bishop b4 check is by far the top played move. And now you don't want to block this check with either your bishop or your knight or probably your elbow. You simply go king f1. Your king is the safest king in the world. The thing is, this is only move 8 and you stand a higher chance of winning right in this position. If black plays the top played move once again, you can see with your own eyeballs, pawn to d6 is by far the top played move, which is a losing mistake because of pawn to d5. And whatever black can do, you simply take that knight, and after pawn takes, you play Kaspar's signature move, queen f4 check, and at the same time winning black's dark squared bishop on b4. So now we move on from the e4 opening to the d4 opening. But before we continue, do you know that I just listed my new e4 course on my website at www.kasparchess.com? If you didn't, kindly visit my website, or you can find the link to my new e4 course in the comment section down below or somewhere in the description below, where you can purchase my amazing course. I think it should be my best presentation so far when it comes to courses, and second to none when it comes to my YouTube content. Go and give it a try. It's about 2 hours long with a master PGN, which I personally wrote like a book. So if you really want to become a master of the Italian opening Gioco Pianissimo, you can head to my website or through the link in the comment section down below and get that course. You need it. So now we look at the d4 opening. You start with d4 in the Masters database. Knight to f6 is by far the top played move. In the Lichess database, it is d5. Well, it doesn't matter which move black starts with, because in most cases, after you play pawn to h4, black will play pawn to d5, as you can see with your own eyeballs. So now you continue with knight c3. This is basically the Indian defense. What you want to do with this, you want to play the Jobava-London system in case black plays pawn to e6. So you just play the immediate bishop f4 with these highlighted ideas. Again, if you want to know more about the Jobava-London system, you can watch this video that has popped up in the card above, where I presented 10 best traps in the London system. But pawn to e6 is not the top played move in this position. You will see most of your opponents messing up with knight c6 or bishop f5. For example, after knight c6, you delay knight f3 and play bishop f4. Because this move invites bishop f5 by black, they'll try to copy your moves. And it looks like your plan is to go knight b5 so that you can take on c7, but you simply wanted to go pawn to f3. That's all. Again, you can see pawn to e6 is by far the top played move, which is a blunder in this position. Why? Because black loses his light squared bishop automatically. So you start with pawn to g4, and after bishop g6, the top played move, you simply trap black's bishop like that for nothing. So this is only move 7 and black should be ready to resign. How cool is this, you guys? Anyways, let's say black doesn't want to give up his light squared bishop just like that. They can try to take on g4, but they'll only lose their knight this time. And if bishop e4, only sensible move, you simply take that bishop as well. D takes e4, you go pawn to e3, and you have all these highlighted moves in mind. You are up a piece with a better pawn structure, I should say, and in most cases you will want to castle long. So this is a very fine opening. But let's just go back a little bit and see what else black can do after you play pawn to f3 on move 5. So we saw how bad pawn to e6 is because you're going to win black's light squared bishop. But what if they play the second most played move, pawn to h6? Well, you go pawn to g4. Attacking the bishop once again. If bishop h7, which is the top played move, now you go pawn to e3. Look at how beautiful your center pawns are sitting. So the top played move here is pawn to e6, after which you go bishop d3. Remember the concept of keys. You want to keep it so simple. KISS, let them take, you take back. And now you are ready to castle long. If bishop d6, yes, you can take on d6 if you are learning how to play chess, or if you are learning how to capture your opponent's pieces. But as you progress in chess, you don't want to be the first one to take your opponent's pieces if you have a chance to call for backup. Knight ge2. so that if black takes, you take back with your knight. The knight which was doing nothing on g1 now is actively sitting on f4. That's how we play chess. So black may play something like queen d6, developing their queen cause they want to castle long, right? Well, you just castle long, they'll do the same. It looks like the game is very much equal, but because of your well expanded pawns on the king side, you are ahead in development. So you take advantage of this and play pawn to g5. If pawn takes by black, you go h takes g5, rook takes, black's knight on f6 is under attack, so they'll play knight d7, and this is your time to shine with pawn to g6. You just want to isolate black's pieces or black's pawns. Let's say fg, now you go knight b5. Wait a second, there is nothing wrong with knight takes g6, but you always want to look for the best moves, not good moves. Knight b5 is a tricky move because if black plays queen b4, the top played move, moving their queen out of danger, they are going to leave their e6 pawn undefended, and this is going to be good for your eyeballs and your toes. Anyways, back to move 5, where you play pawn to f3 after black plays bishop f5. One may argue to say black's best move in this position is knight to h5, counter-attacking your bishop, but hey, you have many options here. You can play bishop h2 if you want, you can go queen d2 if you want, but come with your screwdrivers and your spanners to unscrew my head. You will find pawn to g4 in my mind, because if knight takes, I want my pawn to be restricting black's movements. For example, if they play e6, I have pawn to e3, counter-attacking a bigger piece, so the knight has to go back to h5, after which I simply take on e6, messing up black's pawn structure on the king side, and now it is black who should be very careful not to castle short, because I have a semi-open file for my king's rook, and here I should be careful though, because black can play knight g3, double attacking my light squared bishop and rook, so I have to develop my light squared bishop. If pawn to e5, I have pawn to f4, counter-attacking the knight, and on the next move, I'm going to win this free pawn. If black plays something else like bishop b4, I still have pawn to f4, counter-attacking the knight on h5. If bishop takes, I take with my pawn, knight to f6, I go knight f3, ready to go knight e5 next. I have this move, I have this move, I have this move, and just to mention, my king will be very safe on d2, so stockfish favors white in this position. Anyways, still in the d4 opening, let me show you one more trap that you need to master. After d4, knight f6, pawn to h4, then black plays d5. By the way, I have another video where I covered this strange d4 opening on my channel. I think it has just popped up in the card above. You can go and watch that as well. Quite an interesting opening, you guys. Again, you just remember to start with knight c3, and we looked at what may happen if black plays knight c6 or pawn to e6 right away. But what if they play bishop f5 right away? Well, if they play bishop f5 on move number 3, just start preparing for another game, because it's more likely that black is going to resign immediately on the next move after you play something like bishop g5, because again, you can see the top played move by far is pawn to e6. You can simply rush with pawn to e4 immediately and black is dead. For example, d takes e4 doesn't help because you have g4. If bishop g6, you are going to trap their light squared bishop, game over. Instead of bishop g6, if black plays bishop takes g4, well, you don't take the light squared bishop, but you take the defender of the light squared bishop. They'll take your queen, you take their queen, they take your pawn, you take their pawn, and after knight c6, ladies and gentlemen, these are the bold situations where you don't even realize that you are already up a piece as white. Count the pieces, do your math, and you'll be surprised as well. Anyways, enough of the d4 stuff, you guys. Now we move from the d4 opening to the c4 opening, called the English opening. So you start with c4, black will respond with e5, the top played move you can see with your own eyeballs, and then you simply go g3. And again, you can see knight to f6 is by far the top played move. Now you go bishop g2, and hey, bishop c5 is what everybody plays. And there are so many moves that we can play, you guys. Here, knight to c3 is the standard move. You can also play pawn to e3 if you want, or pawn to d3. By the way, I have a very beautiful English opening course, you guys, which I highly recommend even if you are a beginner. And I explained it in the most simplest way, as if I'm talking to a baby. You can find that on my website as well. Back to our lesson. Instead of playing knight c3 or any of these highlighted moves, I want you to surprise your opponents, you guys, with this other dubious move. pawn to b4. This gambit has no name because, I don't know, maybe it just looks useless, but you will see the ideas behind this. For now, you can call it the Casper Gambit or the Elbow Gambit if you want. So the idea is, if black takes, which is the top played move, you can see bishop takes b4. Even after this, Stockfish thinks it's not much of a stretch for white to play knight to f3 and be good to go, but I want you to go crazy with bishop b2. So you are attacking black's pawn on e5, and it is surprising to note that the top two common moves in this position are both mistakes, and it's hard for human opponents to know why. For example, pawn to d6 is a terrible blunder because of queen a4 check, which wins a free bishop instantly. So just on move 6, you are up a piece and you should go on to win the game. For example, if knight c6, by the way, you can just take that free knight with check, and after this, you take the free bishop. So that's just how free the dark squad bishop was. Anyways, let's see what else black can do after bishop b2. So instead of pawn to d6, if black plays castle shot, now you have bishop takes e5. If rook e8, you go knight f3, developing your pieces with tempo, very advisable in chess. By the way, you don't want to take on f6 because that will activate your opponent's queen. So after knight to f3, they may play d5. Now you go c takes d5, simplify the game, knight takes d5, and then you castle short. You can bring back your dark squad bishop to b2 and you'll be good. Well, let's go back a little bit, and let's say instead of castling short, what if black plays knight c6, a normal looking move? Well, you go knight to f3. If d6, you have queen a4. I love queen a4. The target is to win the dark squad bishop after we take black's knight on c6 with our light squad bishop. So watch how this can go. For example, after bishop d7 by black and pinning their knight, you just simply castle short, ensuring that your king is safe and you are also protecting your bishop on g2. You will see how this works. If black castles short, this is when you are safe to take back the pawn that you sacrificed. Now on e5 like this, if d takes e5, you take black's defender of this dark squad bishop, because after bishop takes, now you take back the bishop, and on the next move you are threatening to win the e5 pawn. If rook e8, you go pawn to d3. First of all, material is equal, and at human level, this is very much playable. The only reason Stockfish doesn't seem to favor this position is that you don't have a light squad bishop on g2, which is very important in the English opening, but this is still very much playable. You can play knight bd2 next and then put your knight on f3. This will be good for your eyeballs as well. Anyways, enough of the English opening, my own gambit. Now let's move on to the last possible line. So we are moving from the c4 opening to the b4 opening, the last opening trap. So you begin with b4. This is called the Polish opening, you guys. And then black responds with e5, the top played move. Now, instead of playing bishop b2, the top played move, well, you just go pawn to c3. You switch. Again, you can see the top played move is d5. And now this is when you want to play knight to f3. Quite a cheeky move, you guys, because like it or not, black is going to play the top played move again, pawn to e4, and now you go knight d4. Again, you can see knight to f6 is what everybody plays, after which you go pawn to c4. You deliberately let go of your b4 pawn. I mean, black can just take it for free. That's what you want. But anyways, they take on c4 first, after which you simply go pawn to e3. And now this is when they see that this pawn on b4 is also hanging. So they take it. You can see that's the top played move. And ladies and gentlemen, this is now the reverse O'Sullivan Gambit, which I have never seen anyone covering on YouTube. You can watch my O'Sullivan Gambit with black pieces in the video that has popped up in the card above after watching this one. So after bishop takes b4, the idea is to go queen a4 check. I'm sure you can already see the idea. If knight c6 by black, you simply take that knight, and black is going to lose a free bishop, by the way. They play a desperado move, bishop takes d2. Now you take back with your knight. If b takes c6, you simply give a check, and on the next move you're going to win another free pawn. But even better is to develop your dark squad bishop right away, stopping black from castling short. This is a very interesting gambit that I've never seen anywhere on YouTube. Again, you can see the Lichess database is empty, so you're free to try out this as well. Hey guys, this is all for today. If at all you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if at all you haven't already, and make sure to invite your friends. share this video if you can to make this community grow, and let me know what you think in the comment section if at all you liked this video. And remember to check out my courses, especially my E4 course at www.casperchess.com. Until next time, bye bye.